the day the sky burned. The skies of Earth were never meant to burn. Yet on that day, they did. It began with a ripple in the heavens, vast shadows eclipsing the sun. People looked up from their homes, their offices, their crowded city streets, and saw the impossible. Titanic ships, kilometers long, gliding effortlessly through the clouds. They were not human creations. Their hulls shimmer with alloys unknown to our science, bristling with weapons whose power we could only imagine. The first wave of the Dominion had arrived. The governments of Earth scrambled to respond. Fighter jets launched, missiles armed. Satellites turned their eyes skyward. But against colossal alien warships, our weapons were sparks against a hurricane. Missiles detonated harmlessly against shimmering shields. Fighter squadrons were torn apart by beams of searing light. The first city to fall was Shanghai, vaporized in a single strike that leveled millions of lives in an instant. Panic swept the globe. Communications fractured as cities fell one by one. London, New York, Lagos, Rio, each burned beneath the Dominion's wrath. And yet, humanity did not kneel. In the chaos, resistance flared. Soldiers, police forces, even civilians armed with nothing more than rifles, knives, and Molotov cocktails fought back. Entire towns set up barricades and ambushed Dominion patrols. Farmers in the Midwest armed their tractors with stolen rockets. In the mountains of Afghanistan, fighters swarmed through tunnels and ravines, harassing alien troops who thought themselves invincible. The Dominion did not understand. To them, war was precise, clean, and calculated. They conquered with overwhelming force and expected submission. But humans, we fought dirty. We fought with fury. And we refused to surrender, even when defeat seemed inevitable. When the Dominion broadcast their ultimatum, kneel or die, our leaders answered with silence. That silence enraged them. They burned our cities hotter, hunted our armies harder. But the resistance only grew. Every civilian killed, every child orphaned, every city destroyed only fueled our hatred. In those burning days, something primal awakened. Humanity became a species united not by borders or flags, but by one shared truth. We would never accept chains. The Dominion had come expecting obedience. What they found was fire. That was the day the galaxy's oldest empire learned a lesson it would never forget. Earth might fall, but humanity would not break. The age of stealing fire. Earth was gone, not in the sense of annihilation, though whole continents smoldered, but in spirit. Our homeworld was broken, occupied, stripped, and carved into resource zones. Billions were dead, billions more enslaved. The Dominion thought the war was over. They had crushed humanity in record time, or so they believed. But what they had really done was scatter sparks into the void. The survivors fled, soldiers, scientists, engineers, smugglers, miners, and civilians who refused to submit. Some stole shuttles from burning spaceports. Others boarded decrepit orbital stations or hijacked half-functional transport ships. A few were captured and shipped to Dominion slave camps, and even there, whispers of defiance stirred. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity was everywhere. The first thefts. It began small. A Dominion freighter, overconfident and lightly guarded, was boarded by human escapees hiding in its cargo hold. The crew expected a few frightened animals. Instead, they were butchered by desperate survivors armed with wrenches and fire axes. That freighter became one of humanity's first mobile bases. Within weeks, the crew had figured out how to bypass alien consoles, reroute power, and make crude modifications. Dominion weapons were welded to the hull with human scrap ingenuity. The freighter became ugly, unstable, and deadly. Dozens of such ships followed. Humanity learned quickly. Every captured weapon was dismantled, studied, and rebuilt in ways the Dominion could scarcely imagine. We were reckless, fearless in experimentation. Where alien engineers followed strict tradition, humans tore safety protocols apart to squeeze out more power. Dominion rifles were retooled into makeshift cannons. Their precision engines, designed to last centuries, were stripped for parts and pushed to breaking point. We broke their toys and made them ours. The rise of the ghost fleets. Soon, humanity's ragtag flotilla spread through asteroid belts and nebulae, striking from the shadows. The Dominion called them ghost fleets because they never appeared on official records. To the enslaved species watching in silence, They were symbols of something thought impossible: rebellion. A single hijacked destroyer became a legend, renamed Iron Requiem. It roamed the trade routes, ambushing convoys and vanishing into deep space. Dominion captains began to fear traveling through certain sectors. Every battle cost us lives, but every victory gave us technology, food, fuel, and hope, allies in chains. It wasn't just humans. On the worlds the Dominion had enslaved for millennia, others saw what was happening. The Keth, beaten into submission for generations, heard stories of humans who fought even after their homeworld burned. The Valen, who had never dared to defy the Dominion, smuggled information to us. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to whisper a dangerous word: freedom. The Dominion's mistake. Arrogance blinded them. The Dominion believed humanity was beneath their notice. To them, we were primitives tinkering with scraps, barely worth deploying a real fleet against. But every skirmish we survived made us stronger. Every Dominion ship we captured expanded our arsenal. Every enslaved alien we freed swelled our numbers. The Empire thought they had ended the war. In truth, they had only armed their doom. From the ashes of Earth, humanity rose again, not as victims, but as hunters. And in the hidden depths of space, the galaxy's oldest empire was about to learn what happened when a primitive species stole fire from the gods. The fire spreads. The Dominion ruled for millennia with fear and silence. Entire civilizations bowed their heads, broken by chains and history. They believed rebellion impossible, that no species could stand against their fleets. And then came humanity. For years after Earth's fall, we had fought from the shadows, hijacking convoys, sabotaging garrisons, and vanishing before their reinforcements could arrive. The galaxy called us ghosts, pirates, madmen. But when the first great battle came, the galaxy realized the truth. We were not raiders. We were revolutionaries. The trap at Koroth Prime. The Dominion's patience had run out. They launched a campaign to crush the human infestation once and for all. A fleet of 30 warships was dispatched to Koroth Prime, a once thriving colony world where enslaved labor mined Starforge metals. Intelligence suggested human rebels were hiding in the asteroid belt nearby. They were right, but the humans weren't hiding. They were waiting. The Dominion fleet entered the system with confidence, shields shimmering and weapons primed. What they didn't realize was that every asteroid, every mining station, every abandoned freighter in that belt had been wired with explosives, rail cannons, or captured Dominion weaponry, repurposed by human ingenuity. The battle began with silence. Then, in one moment, the asteroid belt came alive. Mines detonated, tearing apart frigates. Camouflaged human ships burst from hiding, engines burning bright as they swarmed the fleet. Crude gunboats, armed with stolen plasma cannons, rammed into Dominion cruisers, tearing holes in their hulls. And behind them came the Iron Requiem, leading the charge with guttural, defiant broadcasts that echoed across every channel. We do not kneel, we do not forget, and we do not forgive. The battle turns. The Dominion commander laughed at first. Primitive tactics, crude ships, desperation. But then the fleet began to collapse. Humans didn't fight by their rules. Dominion war doctrine demanded precise maneuvers and careful formation. Humans fought with chaos. They launched suicide runs. They fired weapons overloaded to the point of explosion. They attacked supply lines, targeting ammunition holds and reactor cores instead of weapon banks. And worse, the enslaved began to join. The Keth, chained miners on the surface, rose up with stolen rifles, overrunning their masters. The Valen sabotaged Dominion communications, sowing confusion in the fleet. For the first time in living memory, alien slaves fought alongside humans, screaming battle cries of their own. The Dominion had come to exterminate a rebellion. Instead, they had ignited a war. Victory in the void. When the dust cleared, half the Dominion fleet lay in ruins, their wreckage orbiting the shattered asteroids. The survivors fled, their once proud formations broken. Humanity had done what no species had achieved in centuries, defeated the Dominion in open battle. The news spread faster than light. Across conquered worlds, Whispers turned into shouts. The humans fight. The humans win. Hope was reborn. The message after the battle. Humanity sent a transmission on every channel the Dominion controlled. The face of a scarred soldier filled the screens. His uniform torn, his eyes burning with defiance. "We were the last to fall," he said, his voice steady. "But we will be the first to rise." To every enslaved people across the stars, fight with us. The Dominion is not eternal. Their fleets bleed. Their empires burn. Join us, and we will bring them to their knees. It was not just a message. It was a spark. And soon, the galaxy would be on fire. The fall of Titans. The Dominion had stood unchallenged for 10,000 years. They had crushed rebellions, erased civilizations, and rewritten history until only their supremacy remained. To them, resistance was a flickering ember, snuffed out before it ever grew into flame. But now, the stars themselves burned with rebellion. Humanity had lit the match. The rebellion unites. After Karath Prime, the galaxy changed. Species once broken into silence now raise their heads. The Keth ripped off their chains and built weapons from the minds they once slaved in. The Valen, masters of information, spread encrypted transmissions of hope, connecting rebel cells across light years. Even the timid Ceruleans, long thought incapable of defiance, smuggled supplies to human fleets. And through it all, humanity was a spearhead. Our ragged fleets grew into armadas, our scrapyard weapons into arsenals of terror. Every captured Dominion ship was refitted and renamed, symbols of stolen power. The galaxy called them freedom's teeth. Where the Dominion saw only savages tinkering with stolen tech, we saw weapons forged by desperation, sharpened by fury. The march to war. The Dominion finally understood the danger. Their propaganda called us vermin, primitive predators, a contagion. But their fear bled through their words. For the first time in ages, their fleets pulled back, consolidating instead of expanding. That was their fatal mistake. Humanity and its allies struck hard. Convoys burned. Slave worlds rebelled. Outposts fell. The Dominion began to bleed resources faster than it could replace them. And all the while, human raiders spread terror by whispering a single truth. They thought us primitive. Now we are their doom. The Battle of Dromkar. The final test came at Dromkar, the Dominion's jewel fortress, the throne world of their empress. Its orbital ring bristled with weapons capable of shredding fleets. Its defense armadas numbered in the thousands. For any other species, it would have been impossible. But humans did not believe in impossible. The Allied fleet surged from the void, a patchwork armada of stolen Dominion warships, retrofitted freighters, and crude human-built gunboats. Thousands of enslaved aliens flew beside them, their banners raised high. The Dominion met them with everything they had. Beams of energy carved through the void. Ships shattered into fire, and the stars themselves seemed to scream. Humanity did not falter. We rammed warships into the orbital ring, detonating their cores in firestorms. We overloaded Dominion weapons, turning them against their own fleet. We fought with chaos, with fury, with the madness of a species that had lost its homeworld and had nothing left to lose. And slowly, impossibly, the fortress began to crumble. The Empress falls. In the heart of the capital, human strike teams and alien allies stormed the palace. The Empress of the Dominion, who had once sneered at humanity as primitive beasts, faced the unthinkable defeat. Her last words, whispered as her throne burned, carried disbelief. How did you? The answer was simple. Because we refused to kneel. The aftermath. The Dominion did not fall in one night, but Dromkar broke its spine. Worlds once silenced erupted in rebellion. Chains shattered. Slave masters fled. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Scarred, exiled, nearly annihilated, yet unbroken. We were the last to fall, and the first to rise. The galaxy would never forget it.